Welcome to the Intoxication Station. I'm Raymond. Unfortunately, upon recording, we did come across some technical difficulties. So, as the episode continues, we are going to be entering the episode at approximately a quarter of the way through the interview with Derek today. So, with that, we are going to continue with the episode. Once again, I do apologize for any technical difficulties, but that's how it happens. With that, thank you for watching and tuning in, and we do appreciate you listening. If you have any questions on the show, please comment or like on the social media page that you see this on or any media outlet. Thank you again, and enjoy the show. Yep,
Yeah.
we're back.
Hey.
The irony is not going to go unnoticed. So, unfortunately, we did have some technical difficulties, i.e.,
I had some technical
there
difficulties.
were difficulties of technicality variety. And ironically enough, at the point in time that we were talking about your internet, the company that you work for that does internet providing, but thankfully it wasn't the internet, it was your phone.
Yes. And my phone said, "Not today. Cool story, bro. I'm out. I don't want you talking to this guy anymore."
Audi 5000 on that one. But yeah, in doing so, as you mentioned, that there is a lot of nostalgia to the building for the people that are definitely in the area. That you're providing what should be an integral service anymore, just like with water, power, sewer, anything like that, pretty much anymore. And to fill in some of the viewers, how long you been with? Well, just in the Telegon game in general, how long you been with that for?
Well, all of my telecom experience has been with the company I'm with, Icon, but I've been working for them for over 10
Nice,
years now. My actual 10-year anniversary with the company will be November of this year,
nice.
but it was actually May of 2015 that I started on a contract basis
Mm-hmm.
with them. Just started off on a small project with them in Kansas City, and yeah, this year will be 10 years, which is
Wow.
crazy. It's the longest I've ever been with a
Mm-hmm.
company, and that's not saying too awful much. I mean, I'm 37, so it is what it is. But this day and age, man, it doesn't seem like most people really have that longevity built into a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
their careers and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Because one
So,
thing that I've noticed over the years, like you and I are the same age. I'll be 38 within the next month or so. And one thing that I have noticed is, especially with the younger generation, I'm not going to say that I'm a boomer or anything like that. Elder millennial, maybe, but not even. It seems pretty often that people bounce around between different jobs and whatnot. Which I mean, I get it, go where the money is, but in the same token, go where the money is in different fields. Like explore your boundaries. Go past the comfort zone in most places. Not saying that people that work at fast food restaurants are any better than me nor under me, because there's been points in my life where I thought maybe flipping burgers wouldn't be a bad idea. But if you're going from one fast food joint or one restaurant or one company and making a lateral move in the same industry for what you're comfortable with, to me there's not much progression there. For myself, as far as my overall work career summarized, out of high school, I've done car audio, I've done elevator mechanic work, I've done field engineering related to telecom, over the road truck driver. Uh, I bought and sold gold for a little bit. That was a wild month. I was a permit expediter for a large home improvement store. We don't have a contract with them anymore, so they can forever piss off for all I care. But I'm not going to mention them because, couth and whatnot. I've done a lot of things over the years, and in doing so, I'm still continuing to do a lot more stuff. Yeah, with shameless plug. Aside from the podcast, which is a new area for me and the team that I have, we're also in the process of getting Florida Manatee up and going as well, which none of us on the team have any experience whatsoever with canned beverages, let alone alcoholic canned beverages as well, too. Yeah, knowing you for as long as I have, Derek, what were you doing prior to Icon Engineering?
man, that's hilarious because I think there is something about our age bracket that's kind of like it's all over
Mm-hmm.
the board, where we've tried a ton of different things. And I'm in that same boat. I mean, hearing, knowing you and the list of things you've been through, like as far as jobs and what you've done, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I've done retail, sales. I was an electrician on rail cars for a while, so like subway
Nice.
cars, rail cars, stuff like that. I did electrical work on those for a long time. I've worked with some tower crews installing stuff on towers and rooftops and stuff like that. Man, I've done the fast food thing as like a
Hmm.
second job. We went for the longest time, my wife and I have been together for 19
Which,
years.
congratulations to
And
you on that one. That's a big achievement.
yeah, thank you. This November will be our 18-year wedding
Nice.
anniversary. And dude, for 18 years, my wife didn't work. At least nothing like over the
Hmm.
table, anything like that. Like she'd never had a job up until recently. And then October of last year, she actually now also works for Icon, oddly
Which,
enough.
just a quick plug for Icon Engineering. If you were to follow Icon Internet on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the major social media platforms, the videos that they put out are hilarious. Featuring Derek, his wife, Dave and Carly, our mutual friend, your boss, my former boss, and the whole team that is up there. And you guys put out some golden content overall, especially you. So, for anyone that does follow Icon Engineering Internet or Icon Internet, the little snafu that we had with the technical difficulties works in line with one of the more recent clips that you guys put out where you're stuck buffering. So,
Yes.
whenever we lost connection there, I could not stop laughing. Like, I'm pretty sure you heard me all the way up in Georgia on how hard I was laughing over that, just because it was on par with the content that you guys put out. But I mean, overall, the technical difficulty was fucking hilarious, honestly.
Well, and see, that's what's funny is like, we started, um, it was just kind of a thought, like, like, let's get involved with a marketing company to help us, launch this thing even further. And the ideas for the videos at first were just kind of like, get our name out there and stuff like that. And then it turned into like skits and, different things like that. And one of the best parts about it is like the first time we recorded videos, man, it was like the most anxiety fueling, like being in front of a camera, all these things. And now it's gotten to be a lot more
Mm.
natural and just kind of doing it and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun in the sense that, like, I don't know, one, I kind of get to just be myself in the videos, and like, I'm generally just kind of a idiot, so to
So,
speak.
personally,
So,
I wouldn't say that. More quirky, very quirky individual.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's part of the reasons why that you and I are still friends to this day. Now, one of our former coworkers that we worked along with, his name is Charles, and Charles is the most intelligent individual when it comes to telecom and cable TV I've ever came across. Charles is a great person, love him to death. I need to get in contact with him at some point or another. I'm afraid to have him on the channel because he is Charles, if that makes any sense.
It's not fair.
Because for context, he is an older gentleman straight out of Alabama that grew up during the 60s, 70s, and 80s in Alabama. By no means a bad person. He's actually one of the most genuine human beings I've came across next to the people that I have on the channel anyways. But there's different mannerisms with Charles. I'll go ahead and leave it at that. That don't really carry over in what would be deemed polite society.
Politically
Politically
correct.
correct, polite society. Like, he will absolutely give you the shirt off your back, but you do not want to go to a public restaurant with him at any given point. Because I'm pretty sure he's borderline deaf as well, too. So whenever he tries to whisper something over to you, Helen Keller can hear it. And it's very embarrassing, but
We we call that an Irish
mhm.
whisper because I'm the same way. Like, I can't whisper, man. It's just everybody can hear it, and that also has to do with me. Like, I'm pretty
Oh,
hard
yeah,
of hearing.
same here.
A lot of years of unprotected ear things in my past that I shouldn't have done. But yeah, man, like it's fun because like I do get to be like silly in a lot of the videos. Some of them, I don't want to say serious, but like even the one like you go and watch the one where I'm talking about, things that can go wrong with your routers and I like throw a router and stuff like that. That's really just, given the knife hand and kind of
Mhm.
berating, but that's just kind of me, like I don't necessarily, we've kind of got this funny thing going on right now too, where yes, me and my wife are in these videos together, but we're acting like we don't
And
know each
that
other.
is from a personal level, that is beyond hilarious.
Yeah, but that's also me and my wife. That's our
Hmm.
sense of humor. We're very much cool with that. In one of the latest videos, there's a point where she's standing in the kitchen pouring a cup of coffee and I blow hot air on the glass and like draw a heart on it. But like in reality, in these videos, nobody knows
Hmm.
we're married and stuff like that. And then one of the other ones, it's like what was it? Like internet fact. I don't know, I can't even remember what it was, man. But like she talks about how when she was younger, like if a boy would ask for her phone number, she'd give him, and you would remember this with dial-up internet. There used to be a phone number associated with your dial-up internet. And she would give them that phone number so they'd call it and they'd get those weird internet noises, the connecting noises and stuff. And then I come on at the end of it, my internet true fact is I got Jess's actual number. And then I just kind of walk away and just kind of playing on that. And I'll be honest with you, man, some of the ones coming up soon, they're pretty hilarious. I don't want to like give it a. There's one with me and David
Hmm.
coming up that you're gonna laugh pretty hard
Nice.
at. I promise. Like it's us being insanely uncomfortable with what we're reading. So, and for me and David to be extremely uncomfortable
Oh,
doing
that's saying
something,
something.
it's a
Oh,
lot.
I'm waiting for it. Like I said, if you guys want to keep up with the shenanigans, definitely check out Icon Internet on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Eh,
And YouTube.
Oh,
It's
is it
on
on
YouTube as
YouTube? I
well.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, like the Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are like by far the
Well, yeah.
best ones to like, check out and in easiest form. I mean, they release a new one like
Hmm.
every day. So, and then some of them are just like, little snippets of different things, but like when the videos actually come out,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
funny and we have a lot of fun
So
doing
my
them.
favorite
So,
ones, obviously you're in them, but my favorite ones that they have produced so far are the internet dad jokes that you come up with, because that is 1,000% on par with you. Like,
yeah, dude, I've been making dad jokes
oh
before I
yeah,
was a
which is
dad.
saying something because
So,
you have a football team.
So yeah, and like a lot of those, we kind of give these concepts and ideas, and like as a team, at Icon, we're the ones like making up these scripts and stuff like that. So it's not like, oh, we're just giving something, like we're actually creating them and like making the ideas and all of that. We have the marketing team that's helping us out, like, come up with different ideas, and they have a little bit better of an understanding of what's going on and like what's popular and all that stuff. One was out recently. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's my wife, Jess, doing the Hosier yell or whatever it is. I have no idea what that is. I'll be honest with you. I have no clue. I don't even know who Hosier is. So like, I don't know. But we did another one when we recorded last time, so it'll come out next month. And they had me do one. And I'm doing like awkward interpretive dance moves and flipping my hair around and stuff. And I mean, I know I've been on this channel and like I've only ever worn a hat, but like I
Hmm.
have long hair. But like I had to like taken it down and I'm like swinging it around and like it's ridiculous. Like I just get to have a lot of
I
fun.
can't wait for it. Yeah, maybe one idea that you could possibly throw out there to the marketing team, depending if the company would allow it, is like a small mini series of just like a 5 minute sketch of what happens around the office in the most like full house way possible.
Well, did you see the video that's like the Full House intro for us?
I did.
Did
Yeah,
you
I
see that
did.
one?
That was a pretty good one.
It,
If you could do like a Brady Bunch variant of it, I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
so if you notice, like, even in that one, we kind of did like the whole like, what the hell does Derek do kind of thing
Hmm.
in that because I'm literally holding a mouse for a computer and like I have a screwdriver in it, like as they pan over to me for it. There's no reason for that. And then like one of the other one that came out, like I'm doing the whole like Luke, I am your father into a fan sitting at my
I
desk.
died. I died twice on that one. That was hilarious. That was so good. Like seriously.
Because it's one of those things where it's the thing is, within all of these things, like I do so much at
Hmm.
Icon, and I'm not just like, oh, this is my job. Like I do so many different things. So it's kind of that the question of what the hell does Derek even do here? And the whole idea behind that video was, I think Carly hired him. Like David's like, oh, Carly hired him, and I think we're gonna have to have a talk about that one. And then like, oh, Jess hired him, and she's like, I can't even hire people. What does that mean? And then it's me, and I'm just like, yeah, I just showed up here one day and started collecting a paycheck. So it's a
Well, I
lot of
mean,
fun.
so with your tenure with the company, like effectively you're the Swiss Army man of Icon Engineering. Like Dave, once again, my really good friend, your really good friend, our boss at one point, he's the brains of the operation. Which, if I was to trust anybody with brain, like big brain stuff, Dave, 1000%. And just yeah, him, Carly, you, Jess, and whatnot. I mean, overall, you guys are a fantastic, just little bit of reality disentangled and whatnot with all the little skits that you guys put out. It really is entertaining from my behalf. I mean, bravo to you guys, especially, I know Dave's definitely going out of his comfort zone on that one. You're par for the course. You're par for the course on that. But it is.
Yeah, just I don't know. Generally, I tend to be a fairly reserved person. I'm not above having fun. Give me a reason to goof around, have a good time. I'm there for
Well,
it.
it's where.
It's a way to kind of
Well, and that's
good.
that's where I find so much entertainment out of it because I've seen your professional side. I've seen you interact with people before. I've seen Derek, customer representative and representative of a company, but I've also seen you as Derek. Yeah, one of my good friends hanging out at a hotel marked unknown elsewhere throughout the United States and whatnot. So I see the entertainment value in what is the professional side and the personal side when it comes to you. And that's what makes it so entertaining for me because I know when you're putting on your professional voice and I know when you're having fun at the same time. And you guys have to follow them. You just have to follow them at the end of the day because the skits are amazing if you're in the know when it comes to internet and whatnot.
Sorry, my wife just walked
Oh,
in the
not a
room,
problem.
so she's making
Tell
faces
her I
at
said
me.
hi.
It says hi. She waved.
Was it with all the fingers or just the one?
So it was all of them. My wife is in the closet right now. No, but like, and that's the thing, right? Like, there's a time and a place for being professional. I don't enjoy that nearly as much, where I'm far removed from being the quirkiest person in my family. As far as immediate family, I would reserve that for my wife. Yeah, and I mean, but her and her family are a lot more, I don't know, out
Mm.
there. They're very much they're the family that breaks into song out of nowhere because somebody says a word. And that's not me. Of course, my kids have kind of taken on that moniker of, oh, if something happens, there's a song involved with it for no reason whatsoever.
Which is
And
fair.
there's nothing wrong with that. But like she just said, I believe we call that ADHD, which is fair.
How true that is.
But yeah, and I mean, I definitely have that as well. Mine's just more the shutdown version of it a lot of times, and the give you a blank stare because I forgot what's going on.
I'm sorry, I was processing. Can you say that again?
But yeah, I mean, definitely I would say anybody who's watching this, like if you haven't, you really have no reason to see it if you're outside of the North Georgia area, but go follow Icon Internet on social because we have a lot of fun with the videos. And I don't know, there's some of them that you just kind of get to meet who everybody is and stuff like that, but just go watch the funny ones for
Yeah.
all I care. And like comment on them and have fun with us. Like it's such a good time putting these videos out and like seeing people respond to them as far as like these are hilarious. And for us that's just kind of like, yeah, that was the intention, but
That's
also
also a
like
Tuesday.
if you live in yeah. And I mean a lot of times that's kind of we don't have the most serious, I don't want to say it's not professional, but like the office itself is so laid back. And I mean, you've
Mm-hmm.
seen it, when you worked for us, like our office is super chill. Like, we're not, nobody's ever like tightly wound up and angry. It stays professional, but we have fun. A lot of companies have that perception of like, oh, we're a family company or whatever. Icon legitimately is. It feels like family. You get to know people. We do a ton of stuff together. Um, Hell, I think next month we have, because we do like our summer get together, we do a Christmas get together. Oh, next month we're going to Top Golf.
Nice. I like Top
Like
Golf.
just big company party. Yeah, big company party at Top Golf. And I know some people, especially in today's age, some people look down on those things, like, a company giving a pizza party or something like that. Share your profits with me, not. But dude, there's nothing cooler in my opinion than a company recognizing everybody's hard work and stuff
Well,
by like that, by like
ultimately,
doing something
so to
together.
me, it depends on the company. Now, Icon Engineering, Icon Internet, they're a small local company to North Georgia, what have you. Like you said, you have no business looking at our stuff if you're not in the North Georgia area. So having company get-togethers and doing pizza parties. Granted, I do like pizza. Really want a slice of pizza right now, but that means a lot more from a smaller company than it would be from like an S&P 500 company or like Johnson and Johnson, Colgate, Apple, or anything like that. Because at that point, yeah, you need to share your profits and recognize the people that make you multi-billionaires, damn near trillionaires at some point.
Well, and it's also reserved for the fact of if you're just giving a pizza party and not also offering not just your top level people bonuses and stuff.
Mhm.
Like if you're kind of spreading those bonuses amongst everybody and then also giving them a pizza party or something like that, that means a lot more than just, oh, we had a record breaking year or month or close this contract and we're going to give you guys
Mhm.
pizza. Icon has always been very
Or people, well,
good with yeah, it's definitely
mhm.
employees first. And that's kind of the thing, right? If your employees aren't happy, you're not going to get the best work
Never.
out of them. And I think if you look at the people who work for us and stuff like that, I mean, I talk to a lot of them, and you're not going to find a lot of them who are like unhappy with their job. A lot of them love working for Icon, and we have a lot of people that move on from us, and I get the chasing a better opportunity or something like that. But a lot of them, like nobody ever really leaves. I didn't like
Mhm.
working there. Everybody's like, no, I actually am gonna miss the atmosphere and just kind of how chill it is. We don't have there's no
No.
micromanaging going on. Like, we never have that. And I mean, as somebody who was a lead for you when you were out in the field and stuff, that dude, my goal was to leave you guys alone as much as
Well,
humanly
yeah, because
possible. I didn't want to
you
have
had a
to.
lot more stuff on your plate than my measly. Am I able to get a photo from this direction? Sure, dude. I'm trying not to get ate by a pit bull right now.
For me, there was those times that I had to do that. You know what I mean? And I hate it. Like I personally I hate when I have to crack down on people for stuff. But I'm also, and I think you'd be a testament of this, like I'm very much I'm not going to ask you to do something unless I do it.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
I've always been like that. I'm like, but a lot of you guys also knew that I had
Hmm.
done that stuff, and there was a few times that never, no, not with you or anything. I showed up randomly in California when the crew wasn't doing good, and I knew they
Hmm.
could be. I literally booked a flight for the next day and went out there and showed up at their hotel, and they were, "Why are you here?" And, for me, everybody that I had there, I knew was capable of doing what they needed to do. They just
Hmm.
weren't doing it. I was like, what better than for me to just show up and be
Announce.
like, I'm literally gonna fly across the country to, what are you guys doing? Like, I know you
Hmm.
can do this. And then, I go out the next day with them and do more than what I'm asking of them. What do we do? Like, I just did more. I'm only asking this out of you. Why are we not
Which,
doing this?
which
Like,
when it comes to the line of work that I did, which was what's the best way to describe it? Surveying and power poles and utilities in the field,
it's like data
data
field
field
collection,
collection.
but like it's like literally one of the most important aspects of what we
Well,
do as a
absolutely,
company.
it
You need that
is,
stuff.
and especially California, because that was one of the projects that I was there personally for, and it was different. California is different when it comes to data collection, as far as the amount of detail that goes into it. Yet, not saying that no one can do it, that only a handful of people in the United States could go through and do that kind of work, but it is difficult to learn at first. But just like anything else that's production based, like factory work or anything of that nature, you get a rhythm eventually. You get a rhythm, you get a rhyme, and you're able to persevere, for the lack of better terms, through whatever is required by the customer. Because at the end of the day, we, more so you now, but at the time, we have to present what the customer wants and nothing more. Now, that being said, one of the guys that that we worked with had filtered down through the grapevine later to me later on after the California project that I kind of ruined the standards for what California needs by doing the unnecessary, well, what I thought was the correct measurement, but ended up being unnecessary measurement, and that's an additional process that's like standardized throughout the state of California when it comes to data collection. That was explained to me.
Yeah.
Not saying that I did it intentionally. It was a long couple days leading up to that project. Very long couple of days leading up to that project.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, we don't even do a lot of that stuff anymore, which is kind of par standard of just like the industry as a whole, because nobody's doing it really anymore. Which is fine. You kind of adapt and overcome. We do other stuff now and everything. First of all, I think we can all admit, like, California sucked as a whole.
But yeah.
Every other project we did was so much better.
I don't know. Lexington, Kentucky? Lexington?
Which one? We don't talk about Lexington. That city doesn't exist. Sorry for any listener that you have in Lexington, but I hate that city passionately. But I was also stuck there for like 16 months, and it was awful. Dude, the resentment I have for that city is unfathomable. And it's not even... No, it is. Never mind. It is. It just is. I don't like it.
So,
it's all.
The one thing that I keep asking, because during the week, I'm a Uber driver full-time in Orlando, and I pick up everybody from everywhere. And the people that I do pick up from Lexington, Kentucky, I ask them every single time, what's the deal with the fences and the amount of pit bulls in Lexington? Like, Jesus Christ, man. They have the walls of Jericho in some of these backyards. Like, I've never seen a 20-foot tall fence since then. But guess what? You go up to Lexington, they got them all over the place. Pit bulls everywhere. Just, it's not very friendly to utility workers, to say the least.
Yeah. How long did you work for us?
In total, you're probably going to have to ask Carly on that one, but I feel like 2.5 years sounds about right in total.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you got sent all over the place.
Yeah, I did.
You were in a lot of places. I think we've actually talked about it on this channel before, but like our one trip where we went from 40, 50 degrees in Ohio to 90 degrees in Mississippi.
In a matter of a car ride.
And I mean, a lot of my experience with Icon was like traveling. I've seen a lot of places in this country strictly based off of my work.
Oh, yeah.
That I never would have, maybe eventually ended up in or something like that, but would never be a direct, I want to go on vacation to this place or see it or whatever.
Knowing you, one of the places that does ring a bell would be Boise, Idaho.
I had a lot of fun there. I love that place.
Yeah, and Idaho in general is one of those underrated states that's like, oh yeah, they have potatoes, but it's so much more than that. It's such a beautiful place. One, my experience in Idaho, granted not with Icon, but back when I was an over-the-road truck driver, beautiful weather, amazing people, beautiful topography that's over there. Being from Florida, we don't have any, but it's just like a legitimate, beautiful state that's very underrated. And I want to go back. I want to go back to Idaho, not Iowa. Iowa. Let me tell you about Iowa. So, as a truck driver, there are certain things that you tend to notice when you're going down the road, and the ditches in Iowa are just wildly deep, like 25, 30-foot deep ditches from the road surface to where they're growing corn at. There's no reason, to my knowledge anyways, there's no reason to have ditches that are that deep. Short of like snowfall and they're trying to plow it off the side of the road, but 25, 30-foot ditches? Come on. That's a little much to me. But what do I know? I'm from Florida.
It seems a bit excessive.
Just a little bit. But what do I know? That's just me. And we're back. Had a quick intermission. Didn't realize how tiny my bladder was today. Going back to all the places that you've been through Icon. Now, what places would you go to if you were to actually pay and go there? Like a vacation aspect of it. Where would you go to? What would be your preference?
I mean, we brought up Idaho. Like I said, Boise's awesome. Even just like, because a lot of that stuff, when I went to Boise and everything, like we drove out there from Kansas City, and one of the places I didn't get to stay in but drove through was Utah, and going near Salt Lake City, just outside of that area and how pretty it is and the mountains and stuff like that. This would be a spot to like come back to and see.
It really is. It's
Yeah, that I'd like to go back to like. Usually also drove through like, Montana, Wyoming. I'd like to go back there and actually visit those places instead of just like overnight stay or whatever. It might just have something to do with just growing up on the East Coast. I don't know. I feel on the East Coast, you see mountains on the East Coast and they're kind of all the same. You get out west and you're like, whoa, this is a different type of mountain area. A lot of the West Coast makes me feel really vulnerable because it's so
mhm.
flat. Like when you get to the Midwest and a little further out, like
Yeah, it's flat, flat.
there's just something about it that makes me uncomfortable. Because I've driven through Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, and you're just like, I don't like this. I can see for too long.
Yeah. Well, especially when it comes to those states in particular, if you were to get on a stepping stool, you could probably see the entire state from that one point.
Yeah.
Like it is really flat through there.
And I'll tell you, I can tell you the states that I wouldn't go back to. I have no business ever being in like Arizona again, New Mexico. I'm a firm believer that like, why are we living in the desert? What are we doing? No,
Well,
stop it.
especially
Nobody should live there.
places like Phoenix during the summertime. It may be a place to live, but why? Not saying that everyone has to move down to
Yeah.
Florida or Georgia or anything like that, because it gets plenty hot down here too. But like, it is ungodly hot during the summer times over in Phoenix specifically.
Yeah, but Ray, it's a dry heat.
Dry heat, so a dry heat does go a long way, especially when you're in Florida. Because so of all the traveling that I've done, being an over the road truck driver, doing the work with Icon and whatnot, effectively I've been to 48 out of the 50 states so far, and my goal is to hit all 50 of them. And the one and only time I was in Phoenix was in August of the summer of 2018 or 2013, long time ago at this point, and it was 126 at little to no humidity. And what made it so odd is, yeah, it's 126 degrees outside. You could cook anything on the sidewalk at that point. And the moment that you walk into a building, didn't matter what it was, you could feel the relief just wash over to you uh, for like 20, 30 minutes. And then you start getting a little hot again and like, oh God, what is the AC broken? Did it finally give out? And you look at the thermostat and it's set to 90. When the air conditioning set to 90, I don't want to be there in any capacity, dry or not.
But yeah, it's uncomfortable. The project we did in Phoenix, because we did Phoenix and Tucson, and it was the same thing where it was like, why is it so hot? Sorry, I'm having issues with my mouth being
Not
annoying.
mount not doing mount stuff.
Yeah, like what are we doing here? Like I paid money for you, do the thing. But yeah, we did Phoenix and Tucson, and it was in the summer. We go to the worst places in the summer usually.
Every damn time. And wintertime. Let's not forget winter either.
Yeah, no, it's like these projects kick off in the worst of times. But anyway, like we did a project in Phoenix, and some of it was legitimately out in the desert. I mean, there was nothing, and when you're out walking as much as we do, and the thing about out there, I don't know, man, you don't know when you're dying because you don't sweat.
Yeah, it all just evaporates.
So you just kind of like continuously drink water just to make sure that you're not going to dehydrate yourself. As we're down here, Georgia, Florida, stuff like that, I know by the amount of moisture is coming off of me. Before we jumped on here, I told you I was out finishing mowing the yard, and dude, I was soaked. Like, shirt was soaked, shorts are soaked, I'm soaked. Like, I mean, I'm naturally like just I sweat a ton anyway. But if you put any obstacle in front of me to sweat more, it's going to be so
Yeah.
bad. We're changing clothes. We're jumping in the coldest shower you can fathom
Just to cool down.
just to try to, yeah. And like, but anyway, we kind of got off topic there. We were talking about
Yeah, well,
traveling.
I mean, it is crucial information to know whenever people do travel. Because, yeah, as an Uber driver, I'm very fortunate where I live. I can't deny that by any means necessary. Where I live, I'm 20 minutes away from Disney property, approximately, give or take on traffic. I'm approximately 10 minutes away from Universal Studios, and now with Epic Universe being open finally, I'm about 15 minutes away from there. Caveat, under ideal circumstances, it's like 4:30 in the morning, no one's on the road. I could potentially get there within that amount of time. Normally, probably around anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes more on top of that time to get to these places, depending on which way that you go. And especially this time of year, because I've been with Uber going on 10 years this September in some form or capacity. And this time of year, I always get the same question: why is it so hot down here? My response every time, not being a dick, is, did you not Google before you came down here? Like, there was one year that I had picked up a family that was from Sweden, never been outside of Sweden, never been in a theme park a day in their life. They decide to go to Disney, specifically Magic Kingdom, on a Saturday at the beginning of spring break here in the United States. Now, a 5-minute Google search would have dictated that that was all bad intel, what they were trying to do. And when they were trying to explain that to me in the vehicle whenever I picked them up from Magic Kingdom, which was an absolute mob scene down there, they were trying to get sympathy. They were trying to get some form of sympathetic, I'm so sorry that you went through that, which I was very much devoid of because the internet exists. If you're going to be traveling internationally like that, or anywhere for that matter, and you don't do your research ahead of time, should you really be traveling? I mean, let's be honest here.
And I mean, I mean, again, I think I've said this before, but like, I like growing up, like being from the Northeast, obviously our vacations, and I mean, I had family down there too, but like it was centered towards we'd go to Florida. That's just what people from the Northeast do. We come to Florida. And, our adventures were more like Titusville.
Yeah, where Kennedy Space Center is.
Form of, Yep, and like I had a great aunt who lived just across like the river or whatever from Kennedy. I guess just across the bay it would be. But she lived fairly close. And Titusville was always pretty cool. It's pretty small.
Yeah.
It's not a crazy spot. And she lived in like a really cool, nice little neighborhood and stuff like that. And then my uncle had a house like that was pretty much outside of Jacksonville, which is also pretty nice. I mean, it was, Jacksonville 20 plus years ago. So it was a lot better than the Jacksonville of today.
Which, so I used to live in Jacksonville, specifically the Mandarin area, about going on 18 years ago. And I liked it. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed being up in Jacksonville when I was up there, living with friends and whatnot. But based off of the news stories I've heard out of Jacksonville, that place is wild anymore.
It's like a proverbial war zone. Like, it's pretty bad.
Which is kind of on par with Florida to begin with. So
yeah, but when I think of that, I think of like Miami-Dade, so, like the Dade County area,
which is definitely.
I think more of that.
It's definitely rough down there, but it's also to be expected. Like Miami, ever since the when Colombian marching powder, I guess, would be the best thing to describe it as, because I would like to be monetized at some point. When that became very prevalent down there was when the stuff got a little like shooty, stabby, and whatnot. And it's in my lifetime, that's the way Miami's always been. It's always been a rough part of Florida, but it's also been the part of Florida that's been very excessive as well, too. Like, we had a project down there. How many Maseratis do you think that we've seen on a day-by-day basis down there?
So many.
It was aggravating. It was damn near aggravating, the amount of, like, high-end vehicles that were down there in a way that is very posh to the area. Kind of like going...
But also, like, seeing them in random parts of the day where it's like, shouldn't you be at work?
That looks like a vehicle that someone with a decent 9-to-5 has. It's 12:30 on a Wednesday. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing exactly?
Where are you supposed to be right now? No, but, we did I've only been to Disney once, and I was an adult with 5 children because it was 2018. Growing up, we did like SeaWorld, stuff like that. We grew up pretty poor and stuff, so there was never the Florida trip was we're staying in families' houses, stuff like that. We're not doing much. But SeaWorld was a thing, but first time I got to go to Disney was in 2018. you know this, but we went as part of like my middle daughter. It was her Make-A-Wish trip. She qualified for Make-A-Wish because of her heart condition and all that stuff, and she wanted to go to Disney. So, we made that executive decision like, hey, let's go kind of off season. So we went in
Hmm.
November. And is it off season? Yes. Is it still ungodly hot? Also, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You wake up and you're still like, you look at the forecast for the day and you're still, why is it still 91 degrees outside today? Now, granted, in November, the humidity goes down a little bit, so you're not as bombarded with
Only by
that.
a little bit. Like, instead of being
A
it,
little bit. It's like
as
70%.
opposed to 90%, which, I mean, it helps. It helps.
Yeah,
It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
yeah. But like the one reprieve we got out of that was like, because it is November, stuff like that, like far less people, which is nice.
What year?
And you still get to do everything in the
And what year
parks.
was that again?
2018.
2018. So I can tell you from being boots on the ground, Uber driver, all that, post 2020, post COVID, anyways, that has absolutely not been the case anymore. So I've been noticing for, better part of 3 years now since I went back with Uber after leaving Icon, it has not stopped. As far as the busyness goes, it has not stopped. Summer peak traffic for 3 years now, even to this day. Like, yeah, there's
Really?
been maybe like 2 days where it's like, oh, this is kind of a slow day. Maybe I ought to like shut it up for the night. Aside from that, 3 years of just nonstop busyness. And a lot of it was, in response to COVID. For anyone that did have a vacation, a holiday, whatever part of the world that you're from, anyone that had a trip going to Florida during COVID, they got postponed. So afterwards, around 2021, early 2022, there was a lot of revenge vacations that came out of once things started opening up and became a little bit more public to the, well, people going out into public anyways. Everybody came in force. Same thing with the trade shows as well, too,
Hmm.
because Orlando is a very popular market when it comes to all the trade shows, conventions, sporting events, anything that happens as far as like mass groups of people go in Orlando. They're really popular here because the person A can go to work and do work stuff while their spouses and family go and do vacation stuff, effectively getting
Right.
a 2-for-1 out of it. And that has been insatiable for the past 3 years. Which, I mean, cool.
Which
Keeps
is,
me gainfully employed and whatnot. It would be a little bit better if some of the people that came down here actually packed their brain with them at the same time. Derek, I shit you not, I had picked up this woman from Magic Kingdom. And we're going down the road, I'm talking to her and whatnot, and there was this loud car that went beside us, because in the state of Florida we don't have vehicle emissions testing or anything of it as far as a vehicle inspection goes. And this shitbox was going past me at the speed of smell, and this woman looked at me. I could see her in my rearview mirror, but this woman looked at me and asked me if I could turn the vehicle off that was beside us at highway speeds.
gain magical powers and
Like, do you want me to speed up, slow down? You want them to try to go past me? Like, what do you want me to do about it? I don't think that there's anything that I personally can do within my powers. I mean, there is a lot of, like, not a lot of brain processing going on when it comes to the heat, which is where a lot of the Florida Man stories come from. You know what they are. I know what they are. Some of the people out there know what they are. For those that don't, just Google Florida Man, type in whatever date, news headline, go down that rabbit hole for a solid 45 minutes to an hour.
it's fun. You get
Oh,
some good
yeah.
stories out of
Well,
those.
so some of them are funny, some of them are cheeky, a lot of them are, like, not so funny and cheeky, which you gotta filter through which ones that you want to listen to and what have you. But, I mean, some of them are pretty good out there. Not all of them, but some of them are pretty good.
You can go from like drunk guy throws an alligator through a drive-through window
Still my
to
favorite story, personally.
to man eats another man's
That was my...
face. It goes from like funny, silly to disturbing
Oh,
real
yeah.
fast.
No in between either. No in between.
No, it's
Like, it...
and it's funny because like Florida Man has been such a joke for so long that it's not even a joke. Like it's just it's true. You guys got, but when you look at places that they call melting
Hmm.
pots, right? Like a New York City where you've just got culture on culture on culture. I mean, the entire state of Florida is like that. You just don't get away from it. Like you guys have such an eclectic group of humans all over your state. And I use humans very loosely in some of those places.
Which, honestly, that's probably the best way to describe Florida is just a loose group of humans throughout the state. Because, I mean, you've been to a lot of parts of Florida, and for someone that's a native like myself, I can tell you exactly where North Florida ends, Central Florida begins, and where Central Florida ends, and where South Florida begins. We're not going to talk about the Keys because the Keys are kind of their own little thing going on down there, but there are distinctual lines in the sand, if you will, between each one of the places. And where I live in Orlando, it's all still relatively, it's still developing to this day. Where I'm at right now, I've been here since, well, I was born and raised in Orlando, fourth generation native to here, but where I live currently, I've been here since 1991. And whenever I moved here, my family and I, we were surrounded by orange trees everywhere. We were hodunk. We were in the middle of nowhere, and that is 1,000% not the case anymore. Just because of all the development that's been happening over the years, it's got to the point where we used to be a solid 45 minutes away from like downtown Orlando to now we're just on the outskirts of downtown Orlando. It's just wild with all the construction and everything that's happened over the years. But yeah, I can't. For nostalgic purposes, I do want to complain and bitch, moan, whine, and complain about it. But from an employment standpoint, there is a lot of opportunity down here. Being an Uber driver is definitely one of those things where I make a very comfortable living off of it, to the point where I'm venturing off and doing stuff like this, the podcast, trying to get a canned beverage up and going, and other projects that go along with it off of being an Uber driver. Now, that being said, I do put in the time, I do put in the work, I do put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into being an Uber driver. But I don't think that there's another market out there short of Miami where I would, like, it is needed to be bilingual down there, that I
Right.
don't think I could do better anywhere else in the United States, really.
No, and I think you've got it where, you have that being, especially with being so close to Disney and all of that, you have a solid market for, not everybody wants to go somewhere and rent a
Hmm.
car and actually have to drive around and stuff like that. And, luckily those rideshare things do exist, not only for people to be employed by, dude, they're a lifesaver
Yeah,
sometimes,
absolutely.
like,
Because,
because not every place you go to has like a taxi
hmm
service, right? So, you go to some of these more rural places and you're almost guaranteed to find somebody that's driving Uber
yeah.
there and you need to get around. And I've never actually looked into the statistics of it or anything, but I could only imagine like there's got to be a decrease in like DUIs and stuff like that because of rideshare
So it's
services.
funny. It's funny that you bring that up. So when I started Uber, I started originally in 2015. From what I remember, Uber had been around for about 6 months in total before I signed up for it, and the city of Orlando was trying to push Uber out of, well, Orlando, because it was infringing on all the taxi services that were in the city at the point. If I remember correctly, there's probably 5 really big taxi services. I mean, Orlando's a busy place. It to me, the math sounds like math. And Uber had a independent statistic group come in and check for the DUI count, pre-Uber and post-Uber being in Orlando for a year. And in doing so, if, like I said, if I remember correctly, I think the DUI count went down 50% plus within the first year alone. Just because it's a lot easier than getting a taxi, and you know what you're paying for whenever you order the trip. Now, 10 years was 10 years ago, so I don't know how it is from a rider's perspective now. I personally have only used Uber a handful of times.
Not the same way. I like the idea of it and stuff like that. I just have always had such little use
Hmm.
for it. But I'm also, I don't want to say weary, but like there's those trust issues with riding
Oh,
with
yeah.
people. And when I don't know somebody, it makes it a lot harder for me to get in a vehicle with them.
Absolutely, because we were so. Tell me you're old without saying you're old. We grew up in the age where we were told specifically, don't talk to strangers, don't get in strangers' vehicles, and what do?
Yeah.
I made a career out of it, and I damn good career at that. But yeah, it's something that we were told not to do as we were growing up, and that's just what we do. For a lot of people, that's their main source of transportation, depending on where they live at and whatnot, their current circumstances and what have you, which is still mind-boggling to me, but it's a real thing. Yeah, it's
I also feel like we're the last generation that like getting our license was so
yeah,
important to us. Where like, dude, I couldn't wait to have my permit and driver's license just to like drive around because that's a thing that used to happen. Like, hey, I'm bored. I'm just gonna go drive
yeah.
around. Like that's what I'm
Well,
gonna do.
so
Like aimlessly. There was no purpose in the trip. There was no purpose
it was
in
just going.
where I was going. It was just, even if it was by myself, like it was just, I'm going to go drive around. And then, and again, when we started driving too, it was like cell phones really weren't a
Mm-hmm.
thing. So you might use the house phone to make that phone call to like see if somebody was around. If not, you were just kind of showing up at their house and seeing if they were
And hoping
home.
that they were there. Or for, you remember these days, if it was after 9 o'clock, that's when you would call them.
Yeah.
When the minutes were
Yeah.
free.
Yep. And then, like even having those friend groups, I don't know, even my kids, my oldest son just turned 18 and he doesn't have his license yet,
Really?
but he also really he hasn't pushed for it.
Which is fair.
And then my oldest daughter, she just turned 15 here in the state of Georgia. She can get her permit, but she's also, I don't really care to have it and stuff like that. But dude, like I couldn't wait to get my
Mm-hmm.
permit and start driving and like, just being able to have that freedom
Well,
of I can just go
the
somewhere.
freedom. So, from altitude, it would be the freedom to be able to explore the world when you got your driver's license. But with the internet being so prevalent as it is, you can explore the world from your fingertips now. So it's not as detrimental, I guess, would be the thing to be socially acceptable anyways, to not get your driver's license or permit or anything. Because I'll tell you right now, I didn't get my permit to be able to drive till I was 17. Not because I failed any test or anything, it's just I didn't want to drive anywhere. I mean, I was perfectly content where I was. Sure as shit, becoming an over-the-road truck driver, driving all over the United States, visiting all these different states and everything, I probably have an easy, God, at this point, probably close to maybe 1.8, 1.9 million miles under my belt. I
Right.
assure you, I made up for it over the years. But for the newer generation that doesn't have the wanderlust of experiencing firsthand the grandeur of some of these places that are out there, I'm talking within the United States. I haven't traveled much outside of the country. I do plan on it, though. That is one of my goals in life, to visit all 50, then travel internationally. It's definitely one of those things that you have to go after, as far as having the wanderlust to travel places. That's part of the reason why I worked at Icon, was the traveling aspect of it, having the potential for it.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I did. I don't regret any aspect of Icon whatsoever. So, in closing, Derek, as always, it's always been a pleasure to hang out with you, to talk to you, to just catch up with everything.
Absolutely.
One thing, so, before we record next time, please, 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 get Bros in different area codes up and going.
We'll do
Gonna
that.
have to do that.
You've been gracious. You've been gracious enough to say you're willing to help me out with some editing starting off and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
we'll do that. And I mean, people have seen us. This is is this our third or fourth time doing this? I don't even know.
The math sounds like correct math, so let's go ahead and go with yes.
Yes.
It's been a yes amount of time.
So yeah, and I mean, I know that I've already, you said you wanted to be a guest, and I'd love to have you as a guest for that for sure. So you're probably going to be one of my first episodes.
Hell yeah.
Like that's going to be for sure. Let people stare at our ugly mugs some more. But it'll be just a little different. It's going to be like, hey man, tell me about life, and you don't when we've had these conversations, we haven't gotten super in depth into like, and I mean, I don't know how much you have as far as doing any of these episodes. I've watched the ones with you and Ryan and stuff like
Hmm.
that, but like, I want to hear about like growing up and all of that good stuff. And I mean, I know that you had some wild times in your late teens, early 20 years and stuff like that
But
as
yeah,
well. So, we'll get into that, and then like I definitely like to see you like I know you do well with Uber and this stuff as far as it goes right now, but
well, yeah,
like, bringing a different side of the audience in to be like, hey, this is like me fully, and then, pushing everything you've got going on and stuff like that. And like, because I'm super stoked for, the Florida manatee and stuff like that. I know we've talked about like, I'm sober,
hmm
but like I love to see my friends, doing new things and going above and beyond their comfort zones and stuff like that. So I think what you're doing is awesome. I know that you told me there's an NA version that's going to be coming, which you're going to have to send some up
well,
here,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I will review it with the harshest of judgments.
Which I mean, ultimately, that's what we are looking for when, going back to the whole Florida manatee thing, like you said. Hopefully soon, maybe not whenever this episode comes out, but hopefully soon we can get a concept product out in can. May not be the final product, but yeah, hopefully at some point we do plan on doing a live cast where we record in front of a live audience at a location and be able to project it on all the social medias, potentially Twitch, Discord, any of the live stream platforms that are out there. And we want to hear actual input, because we're going off this product purely based off of our taste buds, when our taste buds aren't going to be the ending goal as far as having anybody else be able to look at it on the shelf and be like, oh, that looks tasty, let me go ahead and try it out. There are some companies that have that one and done mentality. Like earlier today, I picked up an earlier of memory sucks right now, the Six Man from Crooked Can at my local Publix, and it was good. I'm gonna be more than willing to drink through the four banger of it, but I don't think I'm gonna get another four banger of it. What we're trying to do with Florida Manatee is make it where this is good, I want to get another and another and another or whatnot. Of course, caveat being, just like with the channel and with Florida Manatee, we do ask that you all drink responsibly, enjoy responsibly, and if need be, make sure that you have a safe way of being able to get home if you're not enjoying at home, and obey all local laws and jurisdictions when it comes to being able to enjoy yourself in a way that you see fit. But with that, Derek, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. I look forward to getting on your podcast, Bros in Different Area Codes. And with that,
Yeah, I'm also going to bombard Strickland too, just so you know.
absolutely.
I'm getting Strickland
Oh
on
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If anything, bug the hell out of him, because he's so strict. Okay, so when it comes to the one-on-one interviews, I am the show donkey. That is my job title, being the show donkey of the podcast. But Strickland has stories too. Don't let him fool you. He comes off very quiet, very intelligent whenever he is on the channel, but he has stories too. So you got to make sure to just bug the hell out of him with those questions and
Absolutely.
whatnot. But I mean, with that, this is an intoxication station. Derek, aside from Bros in Different Area Codes, you got anything else going?
That's it. You guys want to have some laughs with us and stuff? Check out Icon Internet. Watch our
Definitely.
videos, like them. We're goofy, have a good time. And other than that, man, Ray, I appreciate you bringing me on.
Absolutely.
Let me be a part of this. Love you, brother. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, appreciate you having me
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. Enjoy cutting the wet grass that you have up there, and don't die in the heat. That would be kind of rude.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna avoid getting taken out by the heat
Yeah,
this
don't
year.
do that. But with that being said, Intoxication Station, we'll see you on the next episode.